just to let you know, we may wait just another minute to start. Having a little trouble with the audio and streaming the meeting live. They want another minute or two, so we'll wait a second, and if they can't get it, we'll just go ahead without it. But we'd like to wait, with your indulgence, 2 or 3 more minutes. Okay, we're apparently not going to get it back up, so we'll just go ahead. It's going to be taped and played back later. It's just not going to stream live. Good morning. Welcome to the County Commission regular meeting. It's July 24th. It's 9 a.m. If you take a minute, please silence all your communications devices so we don't interrupt each other. We have Pastor Brian Nall with us from Ferris Hill Baptist Church will do the invocation for us. Pastor, if you come up here, please, and press the button, turn the little red light on.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We thank you for the privilege of living in this safe and pleasant community. Lord, as we enter into the business, Lord, that comes before our county today, we pray for your wisdom, Lord, to be poured out upon these elected officials. Lord, we pray that you would also give us the wisdom to know the difference between wants and needs and the courage to pursue what is best. Lord, while we thank you so much for the resources that come, Lord, through the citizens of this community, Lord, we look our eyes upon you as the provider of our needs. God, would you guide our conversations today? Would you be pleased with the outcome? And we want to do our best to honor you in our decisions and also in our emotions as well. Guide this time. In your name we pray. Amen.
Commissioner Williamson, I believe it's your turn. If you would lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is the approval of the minutes of the June 26, 2014 special meeting and the July 10th, 2014 regular meeting. Had an opportunity to review those. I move approval without objection. Hearing none, they're approved. Next is the approval of the agenda. We'll begin with District 1, Commissioner Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no further additions today.
Commissioner Salter.
No additions, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole.
Mr. Chairman, I do have an addition when we get into the discussion about the restrooms in the bar.
All right, sir. Let's see.
Item number 3.
Item number 3. Okay. We'll just blend that right into whatever discussion we have. And Commissioner Lyncher.
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, there's one change. I believe we added a bid for a home reconstruction project as number 4 on the Financial Management Committee, and it was the low bidder meeting specifications. It opened Tuesday, and just wanted not to have to wait 3 weeks on that.
The one from Joe Baker Construction?
That's correct, number 4. So
Okay,
that's just an add-on from Monday.
Okay. Is that it? Ms. Jones? Mr. Blaylock? Ms. Bell? Nobody over there? Okay. Agenda is approved, is published and amended. Next is recognition. Tourist Development Director Kate Wilkes is retiring. She's been with this since the inception of the TDC. Kate, where are you? Did you get tied up in traffic? No, there you are. Come on up here. Well, if you would, I want to read your plaque, and then we'd like you to come up and join us on the podium and get a picture with you under the Great Seal of Santa Rosa County. This is in recognition of your service to the TDC in Santa Rosa County. With grateful appreciation from Santa Rosa County to Kate Wilkes, Executive Director, Tourist Development Center, for 7 years of outstanding and dedicated service, July the 24th, 2014. We deeply appreciate what you've done. If you come up here, we'll like to get a good picture with you. Absolutely. She's going to say something too.
I just wanted to thank everyone with Santa Rosa County that I've worked with has been cooperative, pleasant, fun, helpful, available. I've really never worked with a group that is so cohesive, and I appreciate it, and it was a good 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you, and our May has been an integral part of this effort for as long as it's been in existence. It's the right-hand half of that button. There you go.
I should know that. I'm Ira Mae Bruce. I live at 8184 Wells Avenue in Holly. I was a part of the beginning of the TDC. We first had it in the south end of the county, and then the north end of the county decided they wanted to be included. And we went through some really, really bad people that were hired, and it was our fault because we interviewed all of them. But when Kate came along and she wanted the job, it was like day and night. I don't know if anybody can appreciate how much work she did during the oil spill in order to bring as much money into Santa Rosa County as possible. She's been a great person to lead our efforts, and I only hope we can find someone I don't think we'll find someone as good as she is, but I hope we find someone that is capable of carrying forward, and hopefully she'll be around to answer questions for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to add to that, during the oil spill and the money that flowed from the BP after that, they audited all of the tourist development councils and audited the books, and ours, Kate's efforts, were the benchmark. They were absolutely perfect. They were flawless. They didn't even have comments, and that's unusual for auditors. Auditors will say something, but they were absolutely flawless, and that's just remarkable. Thank you again. We can't say enough, and we know you're not leaving us, so don't be a stranger. We'd like to see you from time to time. Poke your face back in here. All right, sir. Next, we have a presentation from Dr. Karen Barber on Bridges Out of Poverty. Ms. Barber, if you'll touch the right-hand side of that button, it'll turn the red light on. There you go.
Very good, and there's a PowerPoint that should be brought up. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with you this morning. I'm Karen Barber. I think most of you know me. I've been coming around our county commission meetings for a long time, back to the days of Read Across Shemukla, when so many of you have come out to read it at our school when I was there. I'm now at the district office. I live at 5272 Crystal Creek Drive in Pace, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for taking time to hear from our group. This morning I'm representing Bridges Out of Poverty, or Santa Rosa Bridges. We've had an initiative going in Santa Rosa County now for 2.5 years. We're proud of the track record we have, and we're inviting you to the table to know more about us. It's a way for us to be volunteering to strengthen our community alongside of you. Our mission is to enhance lives in Santa Rosa County by building bridges to prosperity. So Bridges communities exist all over the nation, and now we are proud to say we have one in Santa Rosa County. It's a national initiative, and these are the goals: to move individuals from poverty to self-sufficiency, reduce the social costs related to crime, poor health and welfare, strengthen educational attainment and job skills, enhance economic development, improve on-the-job productivity, revitalize neighborhoods, and build sustainable communities where everyone can live well. So there you go. Santa Rosa Bridges has existed for 2.5 years, so you're going to see a timeline there dating all the way back to March of 2012, when we got some training on this initiative and then hosted some workshops here in Santa Rosa County, inviting all kinds of folks to the table. Those include a wide variety of people, and I'll share that with you. You see the red triangles at the bottom. Bi-monthly, that same group of about 85 people meet every other month to continue to learn how we help our community be prosperous, what we can personally do, what our organizations can do to help build our community and help all others to move to self-sufficiency. So we have an organizational structure now. We now have a board of directors, and they are represented by the sectors you see at the top: business, criminal justice, faith-based, government, healthcare, K-12 education, community members, service providers, and post-secondary education. The reason being, you know that recently we've seen in the newspaper that our poverty rate in Santa Rosa County as a whole is 41%. In the school district, over the past 5 years, it has risen from 37% to 44%. I'm going to say that again: 44% of our students right now in our Santa Rosa County School District are living in poverty. So this isn't a problem that just K-12 can solve. It has to be a collaborative effort of everyone in our community, including government, coming to the table. And that's what Bridges is all about. You can see the steering committee. There are some organizations there represented. And then below there you see those lower boxes are the committees that we have associated with Bridges to move forward with our county. Our board of directors was formed in November of 2013, representing all those sectors that I've mentioned to you. And here are those partnerships that are represented, because the board can only do so much. It really needs to be that larger organization. So you can see some of our business partners. Criminal justice, very involved. We're happy to have the Sheriff's Department represented not only in our steering committee, but on our board of directors. Faith-based community, very, very important. And they have hosted many of our events and our Getting Ahead classes. They've also been financially very supportive. Of course, government is involved. There's our friend Dan up there in his kilt. We really appreciate Safer Santa Rosa's participation too. The reason being that, you know, Safer was formed to deal with natural disasters. Well, poverty is a disaster. And we know that when we have a natural disaster, those in poverty are our most vulnerable. And so the stronger they can be, the more quickly they can help our whole community recover after a disaster. We also have healthcare involved. And of course, our school district, as well as our service providers, United Way, Children and Families. Children and Families has really stepped up because they've said the stronger our community is, the healthier our families will be, the more intact our families can be. And with the school district, we're looking at the long view. We want our kids to be in strong families, strong communities, to graduate from high school, college, and career ready, to stay here in Santa Rosa County and continue to serve each other. And then, of course, post-secondary, so important. So UWF, Pensacola State, Laughlin Tech, very involved with us. Boy, there are so many industry certifications, programs at Laughlin Tech that folks in our community can attend after high school to build their skills to get good jobs. We have a Getting Ahead and a Just Getting By world class. There's the community piece, and then there's the piece inviting those that are in poverty to the table, who want to build their resources, and the goal, of course, being self-sufficiency. So through our initiative, we've had 2 graduating classes of Getting Ahead. These folks came to the table, participated in 15 sessions, learning about how to build their resources and be self-sufficient. So these are the steps we've gone through as a Bridges community. We introduced the whole concept 2.5 years ago. We started developing critical masses. I joke that I have a roadshow. I'll take it anywhere. I've got my laptop, my LCD projector, so if you give me a blank wall, I'll come and give you my spiel, okay? 10 minutes, half hour, hour, 3 days, 1 day, I'll go anywhere. And I have a lot of folks with me from our Bridges Initiative that'll be right there too. So we're happy to share with any group that you'd like to invite us to. You can see step 3 is getting ahead course. We've already completed 2 courses, and right now we have a class of folks over at Ferris Hills Baptist that are now in our 3rd Getting Ahead class. We have a 4th class that will start in the fall, and that's going to be at Milton United Methodist Church. And St. Rose of Lima has already volunteered to host our 5th class. So that organizational structure is step 4. Here's the Getting Ahead curriculum developed by Phil Duvall. He worked with Dr. Ruby Payne, who researched poverty, particularly in schools. And so everything is research-based and outcome-based. So what do those participants get? Well, they explore and analyze their own lives to say, what resources do I have? What resources do I need? Which ones do I need to concentrate on building next? And so they really start looking at that future story. As you may know, many people in poverty solve the same concrete problem day after day. And getting ahead is difficult. And so this helps them to systematically say, what do I need to do to become self-sufficient? And then how, when I get there, do I serve my community? Here are the 11 resources that people need to be self-sufficient. You can see financial on the end there. But there are a lot of other resources we all need, as you know, to be self-sufficient. When we have our class meet, the 2 areas that people say they are most deficient in is actually support systems and relationships. They need support. And so they have gained that support through their Getting Ahead classmates and also our Bridges Steering Committee. So we had a goal of conducting our first 2 classes by June of 2014. We accomplished that. Our 3rd class is underway. People registered for the fall classes. I'm going to give you a little bit of our outcomes. We have had 92% of our participants graduate. That is a high graduation rate by any standard. And 80% of the folks that have taken our class have gotten a job, gotten a better job, gone back to school, or obtained some kind of service to move them forward to self-sufficiency. We're very, very proud of that. One of our graduates that's here today was unemployed, did not have housing. She now has housing. She has started her own business. She is a licensed business owner, and she is now ready to take on employees. That is profound, the change that can happen when you give somebody the support and the shot. Just a couple of comments from our Getting Ahead grads. Meredith said she'd recommend the Getting Ahead class to anyone. It has provided her with many useful tools, and she's already started to use them in her personal life. She is a young mother, so what happens with her is going to affect her child profoundly. Here's another comment. The Getting Ahead class is going great so far. I've enjoyed learning from our discussions. I think I may get the courage to leave my current job and go for something better suited to me. Here's a great comment from one of our current classmates. Being a member of Getting Ahead means being more able to take care of myself later on, being more aware of my surroundings and community and what situations others are in. It means there is hope for a better life and maybe even a job and so much more. Thank you. Now, Getting Ahead is really, in our Bridges Initiative, is really funded by community donations. And so to know that in our own community, we can donate to a cause that can really have high impact on our community and on citizens and our children and families is really an amazing opportunity for us. Just the financial part of the Getting Ahead course, everything is volunteers except for financing the course. The facilitators are volunteers. The child care, they're volunteers. Churches volunteer to host our Getting Ahead classes. And the child care, those are volunteers. The only thing that really costs is the participant books, and we're pretty good with that right now, but the participants get a stipend, a $15 stipend for every session they attend, because not only are they coming to the table to solve their own issues and work towards self-sufficiency, they're problem solvers and they give us great input on ways in which our county can become stronger. Here's some of the research that goes into, so you see some sources there. You'll see, if you go to the Safer Santa Rosa webpage and you go to the left side, you'll see a link for Bridges Out of Poverty, and you can find all our documents and our history there. Here's the website for the national organization AHA process from which Bridges comes. And our next joint steering committee meeting and board meeting is actually August 12th from 4 to 5:30 at the Emergency Operations Center. And we invite you to come to the table. We hope you'll consider joining us as part of this group. I gave Hunter some purple folders for you. You'll see this PowerPoint in there. You'll also see an article we've been published in the second edition of a book called Vision to Action. It highlights communities who have bridges initiatives, best practice. So it was a real privilege, and we'll be presenting at a national conference in October what's been going on. There's also a registration form in there. You may know somebody who says, you know, this would be a great course for them. You may have somebody who wants to volunteer. There's also a sponsorship form. So you can be a mentor, or you can write a check for $225, give it to United Way, and they'll make sure Bridges gets it, and that sponsors one participant in the Getting Ahead class. So I thank you so very much. We're going to transition to our next topic. All right? Any questions about Bridges?
What's the current poverty level? What is it defined as in dollars right now?
I'm sorry.
What defines poverty right now? I know it's a federally defined.
Yeah, it's $24,000 for a family of 4. Now, when we look and define poverty level for school district, those are our children who qualify for free and reduced lunch, and those same poverty rates are used
So they're
determine that
standardized.
eligibility.
All right, thank you. I didn't mean to
Yes.
interrupt your presentation.
No, I appreciate the question. Thank you so much. We're going to transition now to transportation, and I've got some folks with me, so if you all would come on up, please. We'll get started with the presentation.
I got something to say.
Yes, sir.
I know you're on a roll here,
Yeah.
but I...
You bet. I don't want to waste your time, so.
Well, no, it's not a waste of time. Everything you've said is outstanding. But I didn't want to get away from where we're at right
Yes,
now with
sir.
bridges. Two things I'd like to suggest are, I attend the NACO, which is National Association of Counties, and I'm on the Arts and Culture Committee. And one of the discussions we had was how arts and cultures help with poverty, because a lot of people, you know, may not have an education, but they may be an artist, and this
Yes.
could lift them up, because organizations like this could help them maybe sell their paintings, sell their pottery or
Right.
something. So I'd suggest we tie Santa Rosa Arts and Culture in with Bridges.
That is an excellent suggestion. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Absolutely.
And one other thing, I'm gonna put you a little challenge. I sit on the Santa Rosa County Baptist Association with Dr. Chip Fox
Yes.
and quite a few others, and I sit on there as the government liaison to that, and one of my charges in that is to bring something like this to that organization. We got a 2 o'clock meeting, and I just got an okay from Dr. Fox to invite you, so if you don't have anything to do at 2 o'clock,
I was serious about the road show, so yes, I can be there at 2 o'clock today.
I took you serious, so there you are.
The LCD projector's in the trunk of my car, so.
I'll get with you on the location, and we'll...
Excellent. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Now, for those of you queuing up for comments, this is not the comment section. She asked for questions from the commissioners, and when she gets through, we'll open it up. But right now, she's still got the floor, so we're not going to take comments until she finishes. Go ahead.
I think I'm ready to move to the topic of transition,
Yes.
or to the topic of transportation. And part of the reason that we're dovetailing this with Bridges is because Bridges is about building self-sufficiency, and for some, transportation is that barrier. So I've got some folks, and we're going to really charge through this topic very quickly. But I'm not the expert on all these areas, and so I have some folks that are part of the presentation. So if you all will come on up, please. Transportation, of course, I've already mentioned to you. Many folks are present here from our Bridges organization and also from the community to demonstrate their support for transportation services in our community. And not present are a few folks that I just wanted you to visualize as we go through this. And these are true folks that we have worked with. Shania is a 17-year-old student at Milton High School. She is a homeless, unaccompanied youth. Despite her challenges, she is dual enrolled at Pensacola State College and taking classes at Milton High School. To get to class, Shania had to walk down Highway 90 2 miles one way to the PSC Milton campus in any kind of weather. We eventually got a bike donated for her to get to school. We also have Martin and his family who receive services through Family Promise. Martin works to support his family, but he can't afford a car. He has been riding his bike to work from Alice Street in Milton to the Maritime Park in Pensacola, 24.5 miles one way. And then there's Jessica, a young lady who lives in Navarre who is 7 months pregnant. Jessica has to visit her obstetrician often because she has a high-risk pregnancy. She missed her appointment recently. It turns out she too was riding a bike to her doctor's appointment. She missed it. Her bike had a flat. The next day she rode her bike to her OB in the pouring rain. That's a few of the folks that have could benefit from restorative transportation. I also have some statistics from the health department. They just wanted me to share that there is about 30% of the mothers who have WIC appointments at the health department miss their appointment, many due to transportation. 30% of the dental appointments, again, some like Jessica, who didn't have reliable transportation, and 17% of the medical appointments are missed. So that's time, and those are missed services that we think could be increased if we were able to get transportation in our community. Here are the groups represented. Bridges Out of Poverty to here today to talk about this. Northwest Florida Rural Health Network, Santa Rosa County Community Health Improvement Access Committee, and Hope That Heals, and they're a group out of the Navarre area. So, number one, transportation is the barrier for education, employment, healthcare, and housing. If you don't have a car and you can't afford a cab, then you're going to use these. And we've shared some of that. So what makes getting to the doctor, to college, to work, to the pharmacy, to places to get goods and services very difficult. And now I'm going to turn it over to Donna Christopher.
Hi, I'm Donna Christopher. I'm the principal at Santa Rosa Adult School. We also have services at Navarre High, we have services at Jay, we have services downtown Milton, and then on Lockland Tech's campus. During the 12 years between 2000 and 2012, Santa Rosa County was the 84th fastest growing county in the U.S. 18%, just some stats on Santa Rosa, 18% of Santa Rosa's 18 to 24-year-old population do not have a high school diploma. 24% of people without a diploma live in poverty. Education leads to employment and higher income jobs, creating a path out of poverty. Students and potential students frequently remind me that the lack of transportation is a major barrier to their education. I'd like to share a story about a student that attended Lockland. This was an adult student who lived in East Milton, and it's similar to what Karen was telling you. He did not have transportation, and he rode a bicycle from East Milton to Lockland, the Lockland program, and you know how a dangerous ride that can be. On several occasions, faculty took him home because of inclement weather. The student has recently completed his program and earned a certificate in welding and is competitively employed. This story has a positive ending because the student was persistent and he had support. We find that many students in this situation allow transportation to be the barrier that prevents them from continuing their education. So I hope you'll reconsider some form of at least looking at public transportation again for the county.
Good morning. My name is Meredith Powers, and I work with the Workforce Investment Act through Santa Rosa County School Board. My job is to assist in-school and out-of-school youth to get jobs in Santa Rosa County. Transportation is a major barrier for our students because we believe it's a key step in their job attainment, retention, and self-sufficiency. Our students are limited in the jobs that we can place them in because of the lack of transportation, not just for the students themselves, but within their families. Many of our students have not been able to take those jobs. They have tried to walk or they've tried to ride their bicycles to those jobs from school or from their homes, and they've either lost those jobs due to inclement weather or family circumstances or parents who've had to go to their own jobs. Our county seems to be spread out, and our students either live within city limits and they can't go to those industrial areas, or they may live in the outlying areas and not be able to get into the city for those jobs that they need. This is not only discouraging for our students, but then it limits their possibilities. So obviously that would be one barrier that would be very valuable for our students in Santa Rosa County for employment reasons.
Hey guys, I'm David Smith. I'm a family physician in Jay, Florida. Been there for 34 years. Also serve as president of the Northwest Florida Rural Health Network, and rural medicine has been my life. Certainly want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the support you guys have given our area of the county in the north. You know, in rural medicine, we have 25% nationwide live in a rural area. You know, and I think it's probably more in Santa Rosa County. I think God spends a little more time there too, because we hadn't messed that area up as much, you know. But despite that, only 10% of the physicians nationwide are in rural areas, and I think less than that in Santa Rosa County. Approaching 0% of the specialists, you know, here. And although the residents there provide this nation, our county, the whole, with some of the best leaders, they tend to have lower incomes, tend to have less formal education, many more on Medicaid, many more really qualify for Medicaid, but they don't have the assistance or the know-how to get it. And when we do a survey on these persons, you find their number one concern is transportation, to give them access to the tertiary health care and testing that we don't really have in rural areas, and that we're developing some of our great areas like Milton and Gulf Breeze and Pace, you know, so it's a big issue. And what we really need, we need a transportation model to get people from the north, rural areas of our county, down where they can have better access to health care and the tests we need. And at the same time, we can provide them access to a better education through Lachlan Votech and Pensacola State and other trade schools. Also, we can give them access to other things that we have in the county too. Besides that, we also can provide some access back the other direction, you know, to other people in the county, to good, solid primary care, to exposure to our great agricultural capital of the Panhandle. Also, it'd be a good avenue for like evacuations during disasters. We can do this, you know, it would just be great. It's a great county, and we focused in the past, I think it seems to me, a little bit more on transportation assistance to the south part of Escambia County. You know, maybe we need to focus a little bit more connecting our county. Maybe we could take this great county, Santa Rosa County, and make it better by focusing on that transportation need, connecting the north and the south. Thank you guys for all y'all do.
I'm Maxine Ivy, and I'm the Executive Director for the Rural Health Network. The one thing that we try to do is to provide good health care for all of our citizens in the rural area. Now, the one thing that is our number one barrier is transportation. We can't get our people to the doctors. We can't get them to our specialists. And we have been working on this in the Rural Health Network ever since it's been in our area. And we ask you to please help us get our transportation where we can move our people to the physicians, to the specialists, to the pharmacy. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shane Nation. I'm Director of Family Promise. I work at the ground level with homeless families here in our community. And one of the largest barriers, as you've heard, is transportation. It is the first goal that we set for a family because really and truly, unless you're living somewhere around downtown, the odds of you getting to a job that you find without transportation is zero. The county commissioners years ago blessed us with a number of homes and transitional houses that we have up in Roundup Valley. We still have those and still operate them, but when I look to put a family into those homes without a vehicle, up to near Whiting Field, there's no jobs up there. There's no opportunity to be able to get to work. And so I can't place a family there unless I know they can get to and from their job. And it really limits what they can do and the help that I can provide. Even though our offices are right behind First Baptist Church, downtown on Alice Street, the limited number of jobs at fast food, you'll get 10 to 12 hours a week. It takes saving every dime that you make 8 to 10 weeks to be able to save up to buy a $750 car. to be able to get to. But the doors that open once you have that transportation are huge. If we had public transportation that could get the families to and from their appointments, to and from their jobs, they would be on a fast track compared to what they are now with getting on their feet and becoming self-sufficient again. So I pray that y'all consider this as you look at this as something that homelessness is not going to disappear anytime soon. Florida ranks second in the nation right now in homelessness. People like to come down to the beach when they become homeless. I'm not sure why, other than it's easier to sleep in the car. But public transportation is definitely a need that we have.
Hi, and I'm Nancy Model, and I'm here to wrap up. My address is 11455 Boundary Line Road, Milton, Florida, and I'm the former county transportation planner, so this feels very familiar to me, like déjà vu. So let me just go ahead and wrap up. You've heard the statistics about the growth of poverty in this county, and you've heard the effects on children. You've heard from experts in their fields how the growth of poverty and how transportation or the lack of transportation is an obstacle to fighting poverty. And I think everyone would agree that roads and bridges are essential to a healthy economy, but another form of transportation is public transit. That is also essential to a healthy economy. So we are actually here today to request that the board approve a motion to explore bringing public transportation service back to Santa Rosa County. We know of funding mechanisms. There are federal and state grants. Of course, that money's not free. It requires local match from local governments. But the local match is usually a smaller percentage of the overall cost. And in fact, right now, a primary grant that funds ECAT is largely based on the population of the urbanized area, which includes Santa Rosa County. So Santa Rosa County residents, the population numbers are contributing to that funding that's available for ECAT to access, yet residents of Santa Rosa County are not receiving any benefit. So a good place to start to reverse the trend of poverty in this county is with public transportation. And there are at least 3 options that can be explored, and I put some of these up here on this PowerPoint. You know, we could look at, or the county could look at restarting the previous service. Maybe that grant is not available anymore, but there might be other grants available. Expansion of ECAT and Okaloosa County Transit into Santa Rosa County. Because as we heard from some of our speakers, this problem is not just a problem in the central part of the county, it's all over the county. So we should really consider Okaloosa Transit as well. And then also, the idea of a regional transit authority to manage the funding and operation of transit systems not only in this county, but Escambia and Okaloosa together. You know, that is a model that's used in many communities similar to ours, where you have several local governments involved. So in a healthy economy, people need to travel across county lines. When we ran the transit service here for 2 years, I was surprised to find out the most popular stop was the one on 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, because people need to travel back and forth. And that's just the way it is to keep things healthy in the economy. Public transportation is an investment in the community. So we're asking for a motion to explore the options for bringing public transit service back to Santa Rosa County. It's a step in the right direction of reversing the trend of poverty, and that's what we're all about here today. But we have to start somewhere. So, thank you. I'm sorry, there is one other comment.
Thank you. I'm Elizabeth Jennings, and I'm here to just wrap everything up. After listening to everyone and their plea for transit, we really hope and pray that you are moved to help the citizens of this community to move forward. Many of them, as I mentioned the other day, are struggling. They feel stuck, very discouraged. Some even give up altogether. How would you feel if you knew someone maybe got hit by a bus on Highway 90 because they were trying to get to school? How would you feel if someone lost their child because they had them on the back of a bike? They're trying to get to the doctor. You can help the citizens here in this county by a favorable response to this request. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We know this is an important decision, and we really thank you for your thoughtful consideration.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barber. Commissioner Lyncher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Barber, thank you for everything that you do for our community. The presentation on bridges, I've seen some of that before. You always do a great job, and that is a wonderful program for the people who go through it. Everyone who spoke on behalf of the Transportation Initiative, I appreciate your efforts there and your interest in it. People don't understand how important transportation is and how many members of our population don't have access to transportation. I wish that exact same presentation with that passion would have been given a couple of years ago when we had to vote to continue or discontinue the bus service. I wish we would have continued that service personally. I came on the losing end of that. But I think there are opportunities out there for us to expand public transportation. If you look at the park and ride lots that have been created throughout the county, they're very popular. People would rather carpool, they'd rather take a bus in many instances. They don't have the option of driving themselves to work. So I think it's something that we need to pursue and need to continue to look at. We also have extreme congestion on some of our roads, and you mentioned the getting connected with Okaloosa County. You know, there's a tremendous amount of traffic that runs between Navarre and Hurlburt Field and on over to Eglin every morning, every afternoon. And if you make that drive on a regular basis, you can just pull your hair out. You know, one little fender bender, and it takes you an hour to get to Hurlburt or 2 hours to get to Hurlburt. So that's not a solution, but it's a piece of the puzzle that can solve some of our transportation and traffic woes. Same thing on Highway 90, same thing on Highway 98, going in from Gulf Breeze over to Pensacola. So I think it's something that we definitely need to pursue. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Commissioner Cole, I'm going to be leaving at 10 to go to the governor's cabinet for children and youth. But you've got my cell phone, so if you want to give me a call, we can talk about that meeting.
County attorney's going to provide you with the address.
Excellent. All right. And with your indulgence, I know you've really made room for us this morning on the agenda, and I appreciate that so much. We've got some folks that have some public comments regarding transportation. If they
We'll
can,
take those.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you all so much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. One of the hardest things I've had to do as a county commissioner was vote against keeping that transportation going for public transportation. At the time, it was unsure whether the federal funding would retain. The cost per rider just wasn't where I thought it should be, what it costs for the citizens versus the rider, and the possibility of that federal funding going away. And I really never thought in my life that I'd see Nancy Model come close to hitting a commissioner over the head with a notebook, but that day I did. So I'd very much be willing to reinvestigate this program, see what funding's out there. Some suggestions I have that I'd like to put out there would be possibly issue ride cards so that the system's not abused. People have so many rides where they can, get to work, and somebody could quantify, how many times they need to get to work or to a doctor. Therefore, the system is not abused. The possibility of using a local taxi service versus standing up another whole system with, expensive buses and employees to operate the buses and maintenance of those buses. This would not only increase the number of rides I think we could give, it would also increase, private industry. We may see more people stand up or add to their fleets. And then one other thing I'd like to consider would be, I heard that for perhaps, I know it wouldn't work for a specialist, but rather than people coming to you, doctor, maybe in the rural area, go back 50 years to the traveling doctor that could say, okay, we're gonna pay you to have a route to travel and give them that medication. And then if they have to have a specialist, well, of course, we could arrange that from there. So just some ideas that I had as I was listening to the presentation that if we did go into this, I'd like to see at least explored. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Salter.
Mr. Chairman, I continue to support revisiting the concept of starting another transportation program. Back when we voted to discontinue it, I think possibly a lot of us didn't realize the far-fetching effect it had into our school systems, into health care. So I'm all for it. I'd like to see staff work with Dr. Barber's group and look at the feasibility of restarting a public transportation program, including the north end of the county. Some type of model that we can start to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you have anything to add, sir? All right. Thank you very much. Excellent presentation. We're going to take the public comments, but I concur with what's been said here. It's a need that we need to explore. Name and address, please, ma'am.
Wallace Mahout, 5500 Cox Road, Milton, Florida. I know a lot of people feel that the Pea Ridge property should be just taken off the ballot. Just take that one out. If you do that, if you're willing to spend $1.5 million on new property.
Wait a minute. Now,
I'm getting to it, if you'll just let me proceed.
Okay, just get to it and make your point. Don't.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This is not about the courthouse. I imagine.
I'm
I know
not
it's tangential, but please.
This is about public transportation.
All right, then let's.
You were going to spend $1.5 million on property for Pea Ridge. Take that money and give it to these people. This is more important. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Dawn Stone. I live at 8134 South Airport Road in East Milton, Florida. And I just had a couple anecdotes about the transportation. I have a car. It's an old car. It gets me to and from work. I'm blessed. I live 3.5 miles from where I work. But sometimes those unexpected things occur, and a car breaks down, and you have to wait till payday to get that part. Unfortunately for me, my car broke down like 3 months after y'all discontinued the transportation. So rather than going down the road to a bus stop and not having to worry about the weather, I was blessed enough to have a bicycle, and I could put a backpack on my back, and I'd leave early to go to work, clean up, change, to do my job, and then in the afternoon, reverse the route. By the way, East Hill, going back home, is uphill. Takes a little longer. I have a neighbor who purposely moved into a house to be on the bus route because they didn't have transportation. She now walks from her house to a job on Stewart Street. And we have a metal bridge right now with the construction, so I'm very concerned about her right now walking that bridge. I see people riding that road every morning to work and every evening on the way home. There's opportunities for jobs in East Milton. We have a wonderful industrial park, but we have to have the transportation to encourage those businesses to come in, and let's grow that. But public transportation is a huge piece, and I just want y'all to realize that it was heartbreaking for a lot of us when it was removed because we felt like we took a step back. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. I'm getting ready to go and help a friend get to a doctor's appointment in the next hour. I take her occasionally to visit her mother in a nursing home. People need transportation, but if things aren't coordinated, nobody gets the transportation help that they need. And I wouldn't know how to do it, but I know with computers today, you should be able to have some kind of phone-in information. People say where they need to go, when, and somebody coordinate some kind of mass transportation to those areas at those times so that those people who need the transportation help can do it. If it would take $5 per person per year to pay for a transportation system, Would everybody be willing to do that? If it took $10 a year per person, would we be willing to do that? I think that's something that we need to ask the voters of Santa Rosa County whether or not they would be willing to give that much money. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sam Mullins, 5922 Allentown Road, Milton, Florida. Ms. Barber, you had said that that you partner with various faith-based groups and all? Yes. This is something that, sitting here listening today to the presentation, and it popped in my mind, and I'm hoping this is something maybe we can look at as a community, Milton and the county commissioners, Board of County Commissioners. We have several churches, and our churches are community-based, and almost all the churches have church vans, and they pick up people for Sunday school and stuff like that. Would it be possible that we could form some kind of partnership with the churches where these vans are utilized during the week when they're not being used on Sunday mornings to take people to and from church, maybe as a volunteer drivers, and that there's some way that, as far as insurance umbrella, doing some kind of certification or whatever that could fall under, as well as maintenance, cost-based maintenance or something like that, where the churches can participate in doing some of this, which would help bring about some of this transportation, but also mitigate some of the costs so that it would come forward. Is it possible that maybe the county commissioners could work with this group here to do something like that?
Yeah, we still have Dr. Barber in the mix, and so I think that's an excellent point made. If you would get with the Santa Rosa Pastors Association and coordinate with them, because there are all sorts of church buses throughout this county that don't go every day. Some days they spend 2 or 3 or 4 days just parked.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning. My name is Vicki Nolan. I live at 6923 Cedar Ridge Circle in Milton. I am currently employed as a probation officer with the state of Florida. I regularly encounter individuals in my office where their first statement of how they cannot get to different things within this community is because of transportation. We are working hard in our sector to begin encouraging individuals to refocus and get challenged on improving their circumstances. Although we have several resources within this community to refer our individuals to, their inability to actually get to and take advantage of those resources is extremely limited. And so if we were to be able to brainstorm and come up with new solutions to not only connect the north end and the south end of the community, as well as to Okaloosa and Escambia County, I think that would be a great benefit to the individuals who live in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Chandra Ryan, and I'm here on behalf of Santa Rosa Community Clinic. We are a federally qualified health center that provides primary, pediatric, and mental health services to medically underserved or uninsured residents of Santa Rosa County. Our clinic is located at 5520 Stewart Street, and our no-show rate hovers at around 37%. And one of the top 3 reasons why is because limited access to transportation. For some of our patients who have friends or families that are able to assist in providing transportation, many times the patient is dropped off at 8 a.m. for a 2 p.m. appointment, and they end up spending all day with us. So I appreciate your efforts in revisiting this and establishing public transportation in Santa Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bruni Emanuel. I live at 5915 Kaiser Lane in Pensacola. The context of my involvement here today is I serve as the chair for the Access Committee under the community health improvement plans that are coordinated through the Partnership for Healthy Communities, which oversees both Escambia and Santa Rosa counties. I sit as the chair of both access committees. The issues that were identified in those studies have been going on for like 20 years. In the last few years, they've been doing action planning. And I sit on a committee that's looking at one of the three main issues affecting Santa Rosa County, and that's access to health care. What you've heard today is that the transportation challenges not only affect health care, however, they affect housing, they affect employment, they affect education. But for my committee, the reason that I'm here is that transportation is the #1 barrier to access to health care, especially for the underserved, for the poor folks of our community here in Santa Rosa County. You know, when you have a crisis, an economic crisis like what's happened with these floods, what you need is services. When you have a chronic situation, you can't serve your way out of poverty. You've got to have developmental, systemic kinds of solutions. And here in Santa Rosa County, some kind of a comprehensive, well-coordinated, county-wide community transportation system is an essential development to make progress both in poverty and on this issue of access to health care. So I respectfully request that you agree to and move to direct your transportation department to come up with some options for you to consider as to a comprehensive solution to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Denise Ray. I am a GA graduate of the 2nd class with Dr. Karen Barber in Santa Rosa County. I live at 9574 Highway 89 in Jay, Florida. That is Clayton White's farm and property. Many days he would meet me at the Shell station and put gas in my vehicle to keep me going. He believed in me. Him and his wife gave me a home and gas to get to the graduating class so I could finish Bridges Out of Poverty. Also, there was a graduate from the 1st class that put wheels on my vehicle, and without wheels, I could not have started a business in Santa Rosa County. Every asset of transportation has been touched by Bridges Out of Poverty, and a wonderful man that stood for Santa Rosa County. I'm honored to be here. Public speaking is not my thing. Also, in lieu of transportation, there was 2 people that should have been here with me today. One of them was a investigator of our present class. She is an artist and bringing a lot to the table. She does not have transportation. I pick her up for our class, and she stumbles through getting to her doctor's appointments. The second was a girl that will possibly be in the next Bridges class, or the 5th or the 6th, that was in a domestic abusive situation. And she should have been taken to class this morning, but lack of transportation, she was not there. I want to thank you for what you do, and standing behind people and women in this county that make a difference. And it certainly has made a difference in my life. Keep on rolling.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much for the presentation, Dr. Barber, and all of those who assisted. It's very insightful, it's very touching. The staff will begin to put this together, and they'll have something for us to consider. We need to move on now into the, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cole.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I believe they asked for a motion to, for us to direct staff to work with this group and other groups, and I'd like to make that motion without objection.
Hearing none, passes. All right, Economic Development, Commissioner Salter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one item Recommend proposal in the amount of $22,500 from the Haas Center of the University of West Florida for economic impact analysis of the State of Florida funded Operation Eagle with Andrews Institute for treating wounded members of armed services. And I have one addition to that, contingent on Enterprise Florida final approval. And I would recommend approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sandra Cantu, 9577 Highway 90 East, Milton. Get that right in a minute. What is this for? I apologize that I don't understand what it's for.
This Cantu, last few years, the state has awarded the Andrews Institute a certain amount of money to work with our wounded warriors, to help rehabilitate them, to get them back into active roles in life. And every year we get two different military-related grants. One is the Defense Reinvestment Grant, and we're going to partner with a Haas Center to the tune of $22,500 to help them rehabilitate our wounded citizens to get them back into life as much as they can.
Is this something that the military or the VA doesn't pay for?
This goes beyond the standard VA treatment. This is one of the things that Andrews Institute did probably 5 or 6 years ago when they went to Washington, D.C., and they were awarded a contract to help rehabilitate our warriors. But a large portion of it is funded by the state, and we're going to kick in a small portion because that is a state military grant where the funds will be coming from.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Administrative Committee, we have 7 items this morning with Commissioner Cole is going to follow on the item number 3. Item number 1 is discussion of proposed judicial facility site adjacent to the current courthouse by consulting architects, HOK. Mr. Walker.
I left this on the agenda because the board had, that's where the board put it Monday, but quite frankly, HOK is not ready to go over the cost. They sent an email yesterday that I've distributed to you that kind of gives their plan moving forward. I expect Duncan to be here at our August 11th committee meeting and to make the presentation and to move forward. And he shows you the plan, he shows you the way that they're trying to go. Again, I think they're trying to do what the board asked them to do as far as developing the detailed cost options or estimates for each of these 3 parcels. That's what they're doing. They're still working on the courthouse, the downtown site is the newest addition to that and the most different and the most challenging as far as configuration and foundation. So that, okay.
Commissioner Lyncher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I was just going to expand on what Mr. Walker said. Their email, we do have a set of deliverables and a timeline from HOK for what they're going to get us on the sites down there. You know, we've moved the ball a lot on HOK. When we originally contracted with them, it was for 1 site, 1 design. Then we went to 2 sites, 1 design, and then a month and a half ago we went to 3 sites, 2 designs, and a completely different geographical setting. So I think it's understandable that it's taken them a little bit longer than originally anticipated to get that to us. But we have a set of deliverables. Duncan set that out quite well. So I think first meeting in August we should have some interesting discussions.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Williamson.
So they are going to come at the August 11th meeting and have more of a line item of a full cost of the whole project on all 3 sites?
And that's what, we've still got to work that out, is you'll look at Mr. Broyd's email, he's still concerned that is not going to have a detailed cost estimate of that, and that's what we've got to at least make some kind of determination of what the board, will require, because quite frankly, we're burning daylight. We are in a time crunch, so you saw the email from Mr. Broyd. I think he'll be here. He'll have I think he'll have a reasonable discussion on each of the particular costs. I'm afraid to commit to him any more than the email he outlined. Or commit for him, which I can't do.
Because the main concern I have, if they come at the 11th meeting, or the meeting on the 11th, we have 3 regular scheduled meetings to write the ballot language. And that is going to be the single most important thing as we move forward of how we can get our new courthouse. And it's really it puts us in I'm stating the obvious, but it puts us into a time crunch. And anytime government gets into that last minute trying to do something, it can be perceived in a very bad way. And we don't need any more bad perception on getting us a new courthouse. It's something that's needed. And I really worry about us getting to this last minute. So if it would be great if they could be here with some numbers and then answer questions too that we have, because I know we're going to have plenty of them.
Right.
And then where do we go as far as do we need to have any kind of special meetings on this? Because 3 meetings to write this ballot language is going to be tough.
But as you saw from the email, he certainly can't. I don't believe that they can get here before the 11th, at least as far as some kind of discussion on the cost and the range of those options. Any meetings that you'd have to call meetings in the interim between the others, I think we'll need to do, and I think we obviously can do that, but I'd be hesitant to commit to anything more other than what they've outlined. I believe we can get the cost that you're concerned about. I agree. The last thing we need to be doing is rushing through this, and again, as Commissioner Lynch had mentioned, we're the ones that move the ball. We're the ones that have expanded the task and complicated the task for them in developing detailed cost estimates. Again, given the difference in the sites, the difference in the configuration, and really the difference in the project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just so folks are watching, we're under that time crunch to get ballot language out there and need those numbers to do so, because we've always said that we're going to tell everybody the pros and cons and basically the bottom line of what each location will cost. But then as soon as possible after that, I'd like for us to make sure we start scheduling nighttime workshops on this, both at the new Taggart Point Rec Center, the Pace Center here. Get that information out to the public as much as we can. So although we are on a crunch to get that done, I think educating citizens of Santa Rosa County and making that information accessible is important also.
Any other comments from the board? Ms. Cantu? Oh, sorry.
Sandra Cantu, Highway 97, Milton, Florida. My question is, I've not seen any specifications about what kind of floors we're going to have, the elevation, and that's going to significantly change the price of the courthouse, which way we go, whether we go with the high end or the low end or the medium or whatever. Are they going to have information like that at this meeting, the presentation on the 11th?
Yes, they plan to, because again, you're exactly right, Ms. Cantu. You can't estimate some kind of. They have the information, and they presented the information to the board on the site that would work on either the P Ridge site, the rectangle or the box square that would work on either the P Ridge or the Byron property. What they don't have is what the exterior would look like, the elevations on the change, which in when you looked at their preliminary design, it's an L-shaped presentation on the downtown Milton site. They've got to meet in their meeting this today and tomorrow with the user groups to make sure that what appears to be able to work on paper can work in 150,000 square feet three-story building, from office to office, in the stairways, all the information that has to go with that. So yes, you're going to have some kind of understanding about what the elevations look like
Right.
before they can do the full costing, and that's again what's, you know, they're in that process.
And are they going to have that at the August 11th meeting? Will they have that information?
You just heard me tell, they sent an email outlining
Okay.
what, they're certainly going to have the elevations. I don't know that they're going to have the complete work done by their estimator by then, because they've still got to truth test a good bit of the information that they have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Cooey, 6049 Arnie's Way. Time is of the essence. It really is. As a person who committed to this early on, we're behind, and we're getting further behind. I would like to make a suggestion that I think will simplify the process, and that would be to eliminate the Pace property, the P Ridge property. Meeting after meeting, person after person, conversation after conversation, there's no support for it. You guys have been in the same meeting that I've been in. One of the ways that we can help this timeline is to eliminate that. And we throw the word leadership around a lot. I'd like to see somebody stand up and be that leader, and let's consider eliminating that. I also have concerns, and I will tell you, I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with Duncan myself yesterday, and it was an enlightening conversation. I think two of you have hit the nail on the head this morning, and we keep moving the ball on them, and we need to stop moving the ball on them. I think we have put them in a very bad position, where we keep insisting on time frames, but we keep changing them. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know, we don't seem to have a focal point on what we keep asking them to do. It just seems like, a person told me one time that if God had put together a committee to make a giraffe, it wouldn't look like a giraffe. And I fear that's where we're at right here. We got a lot of different ideas that I don't know are getting hashed out and then unified to get to the right places. Let's eliminate the P Ridge property. Let's move on to the two that has garnered the greatest support in our community. My final thing is, Ms. Jones, if you would, get your pen ready. I'd like to see all the emails and all the communications since August the 1st of 2013 that has anything to do with HOK. Thank you.
Sam Mullins, 5922 Allentown Road. In the downtown property, there at the courthouse, the property there, we had the meeting the other day where HOK had their rendition of how the site plan could possibly be. And we discussed here about the possibility of putting the parking underneath the building, which would help mitigate having to purchase some of the overflow property for overflow parking. Is that being done now by HOK?
Sam, obviously HOK is looking at all the information. They know how much parking we need. They know how much parking would go under the building. Obviously, anything that they can exclude from the site from purchasing, they're going to do. But you saw the presentation, same presentation I saw, that it includes several other parcels. So they're going to be the ones that kind of make that determination about whether, how to count the parking places. I mean, that's why we hire them.
Yes, sir, I understand. But my question was, and that was the answer that we got in that meeting, when I talked to the engineer with HOK that in the meeting here, and I asked him, I said, had that be considered? And he said he was not given that directive. whenever he was not given those instructions, but that we could look at doing that. And that's my question. Has he been given those instructions by the board to possibly look at that as a possibility?
He's been asked to give us the best cost estimate that he can for the site, wherever he puts the parking.
So is that a yes or a no?
He's the expert on where to put the parking. I'll certainly make sure that he's looking at where the parking can go, whether it's under the building or across the street or wherever it needs to go. I mean, that's why we have architects and engineers.
Okay, so I'm assuming you don't know then. I'm just asking, has he been asked by the board to look at that as a possibility to reduce some of the outlying property purchases by allowing for secure parking garage underneath? Because we talked about that, and when I was here, we talked about possibility if they needed to rise it up another foot or two to give them enough height to do that. And he said that, because I asked about the cost, and he said it would be nominal, no additional cost or nominal cost to do that, go an extra foot or two up if we needed the extra height to do that, because they said they were going to have to drive pylons regardless. And that was my point I brought out in the meeting here before the board, was that would help mitigate the purchase of outlying property if you could put the parking underneath it. And when I asked the engineer in front of the commissioners, and it's on the record, if that could be done, he said yes, but he also said that he was not given that instructions by the county to do that, but he could go back and do that. My question is, do you know whether or not that is something that he is going to do in his rendition that he's working?
He's not been asked to do anything about developing a parking garage or any separate structure. And I'll make sure that they do maximize the parking under the building.
Okay.
But I've not given him instructions on what the width of the corridors would be.
I understand.
What the specifications for the elevator would be. His job is to develop a judicial facility on that site that obviously maximizes maximizes the amount of money that we.
You just made a statement. You said that you would ask for them to maximize the possibility of parking under the building.
Then I'll make sure that we do that,
sir.
My expectation is that he would do that. I will make sure that he's directed to do it. He
Okay,
knows what the space is.
That's fair enough. That's all I was. That's fair enough. That's all I was asking.
It's pretty straightforward.
I'm just trying to understand, so that we get all this on the record and understand, because it makes a difference. Because if the downtown site is seriously being considered, we do want to maximize, the efficiency of the footprint of the building, and that's the only reason I'm asking that. And I appreciate your answer, Mr. Walker. Moving on with this issue, one of the things that came out last week, our sheriff was on the radio with a representative from the Navarre Press, and I happened to call in. And he was pinpointed on the cost of transportation by the host, Mike Mashburn, on the radio. And he said if he had to give and Mike asked him, he said, well, I don't know the exact figures. He said, but if I had to give a ballpark figure, he said, I'm guessing around $120,000 a year. He said, would that be, or more than that? He said, well, would it go over 200,000? He said, I don't think it would go over 200,000. He said, but I think 100 to 120,000 is a safe guesstimate. And that was his comment. By putting the courthouse in the Pea Ridge property, you're more than doubling your transportation costs, or at least you're at least having it again. Is what I'm trying to say, because it's over double the distance. We also know that we're going to be paying $1.47 million for the property. You've got infrastructure that's going to have to go in there with a red light, turn lanes, and merge lanes. It's probably going to run you close to another $750,000 to $1 million. So before we ever break ground, and that's not including any added infrastructure that would have to be brought in, like commercial sewer or anything like that, because I haven't seen exactly all the infrastructure that's there. But just that alone, you're talking over $2.5 million. $2.5 million. You already have that infrastructure in downtown. You don't have the infrastructure at the Byron property, but here's the thing about the Byron property. It's not a 4-lane highway out there. So at this time, you would not have to have 2 turn lanes and 2 merge lanes. You've got, on each side, you've got 1. And you would have 1 red light versus 2. So you mitigate the cost of that probably, I'm guessing, by a couple $100,000 easily. Now, our sheriff has said that our deputies need be paid more. This $120,000, if you figure you give everybody a $6,000 raise, I mean, that's 20 deputies right there. You could give an additional $6,000 a year raise just in what it's going to cost you in additional transportation costs to go to P Ridge. So I have to concur with Mr. Cooey. We are in a time crunch, and we know that this is going to cost the taxpayers. We need to look at this, be frugal stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, and go ahead and do the right thing. Take this property, Pace property, off the ballot. Go with the Byram and the downtown property. Let the people vote and let the chips fall where they may. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's no secret I've never been a fan of that particular piece of property out on P Ridge, and I would welcome that motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Salter.
Here again, we're talking about deliverables being delivered on August the 11th, so we can look at all three sites. I think it'd be very premature today to vote on anything as far as adding sites, taking sites off. Like we've talked about, we are where we are because of what we've done, so I think it'd be premature.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Cole?
My only comment is at this point, with us having the three sites on there, that we're not being asked to remove a site, we're being asked to remove a right. The right of people that feel like it should be on the west side of town to vote on it, the right of people that feel like it should be downtown to vote on it, or the people's right to feel like it should be on the east side of town to vote on it. And I think we ought to stay where we're at, get the information out to the people so they can make an educated opinion on this year's ballot.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Williamson.
I think it's been no secret that I've stepped out and said that I felt that as we narrow sites down, that's going to be the easiest way for us to get something passed for a new courthouse. I've stated that I think probably my first or second meeting, or probably the second week that I was on the board. The more that we jumble this up with the more sites, then it's just going to be more confusion, more public sentiment out there that they don't know what's going on. As we narrow them down, that's the way that we're going to shore that up a little bit and have a chance at getting our courthouse passed. I just want to go on record saying that.
All right, sir. We had a motion and no second, so it dies for lack of a second. Item number 2 is...
Mr. Chairman, who made the motion?
I did.
You said you would entertain a motion. I didn't hear
Okay,
you
well, I
make a
can
motion.
make a motion.
So I didn't hear a motion.
Okay. I move that we reduce the number of sites from 3 to 2 by removing the P Ridge property from consideration.
I'll second that motion.
Been a motion and a second.
Mr.
Yes, sir,
Chairman.
Commissioner Lynch.
Thank you. I'll discuss it now. There's a motion on the table. You know, all along, when we added, every time we added a piece of property, it was an addition to the ballot. It wasn't, we'll add another piece of property to the ballot and maybe take this old one off. You know, we've had, back in February, the motion was to put the P Ridge property on the ballot. That motion was passed. In May or April, I don't everything, lose track of the timeline, we made the motion, it was in May, late May, we made the motion to put the Byram property on the ballot. That was passed. And then we made the motion to put the Milton property on the ballot, and that was passed. So if we start eliminating now, you know, the people that have not showed up because their choice is on the ballot already, you know, they're going to wonder, what is this board doing? You talk about waffling. You know, we already have 3 choices on the ballot. Sam, he said, take P Ridge off the ballot and let the chips fall where they may. Leave P Ridge on the ballot and let the chips fall where they may. You know, there are people who do want that Pace location on the ballot. I hear from them. I know there are people who don't. They want you know, you can support whichever site you want, but this is a county-wide decision. I don't think we need to further limit the opportunities. At the town hall that Commissioner Williamson held, the Pea Ridge site wasn't last, it was second. There were 3 choices that you put out there, and the favorite was the East Milton, if I'm correct. Pea Ridge came in second, and Milton a rather distant third at the time. So why would we take the second choice out of the mix? That doesn't seem to hold water with me. So I would rather, let's leave all 3 on the ballot. Let's get the information from HOK, and then let's let the people who are going to pay for the courthouse decide. If the people decide that they don't want to spend additional funds to acquire property, they will make that decision in November. If there are people who who believe that the $1.5 million additionally is worth it to put it in a location at Avalon and 90, they have a right to be heard as well. So I would like to see all 3 remain on the ballot.
Commissioner Salter.
Mr. Chairman, I concur. I spoke to a relative large group out at Whitingfield yesterday morning on a chamber update, and probably 95% of those in attendance, they liked the Pea Ridge site. People out in Pace I talked to, they liked the Pea Ridge site. I agree with Commissioner Lynchard. We started a process, and that process eventually said the Pea Ridge site. Then we started deviating from the process. Every time a group would show up, we'd say, okay, we'll do what you want us to do. So we've gone from a process that produced a #1 site to something now that has totally confused everybody. And if we start taking things off now that the process produced, that'd be even more ludicrous. So we are where we are, so let's leave it alone.
Yes, sir.
Sam Mullins, 5922 Allentown Road, Milton, Florida. Lane, you made a comment. You talked about, taking, adding to and taking off of the ballot. Well, and we added the jail site. Y'all took it off. So why can't you do the same? Because you're getting arguments now about the cost. Because the whole point along that the people that we're hearing from and the people that we came to your meetings to start with is the fact that why are we purchasing millions of dollars of property when we have 1,100 acres out there and we have acreage downtown that is already owned by the taxpayers? Why are you dipping into my wallet, taking more money out of my wallet to buy more property? I mean, I thought the idea of governance, county governance, was to be good governance, be good stewards of our tax dollars, and provide things like courthouses instead of riding arenas, boat ramps, tennis courts, fairgrounds, and those kind of things. They're nice, and it's nice to spend money on those. But the courthouse is something we've known that's been coming for a long, long time. And the long-term plan for all along, because of Judicial Boulevard, and then we have county officials going out there saying, well, we killed that because that's commercial property, and there's a rail spur out there, and the gun range is in the way, which all of those were proven here in this chamber to be false statements. The property that the jail is on does not have a rail spur on it. It's 2 parcels over. The property that the jail and the sheriff's department's on is county property. It is not industrial property. It is not commercial property. The Pullum property is, but it remains empty. We spent money on that. That's another purchase of land that came out of my wallet, everyone else's wallet out here. My point is, and I'm just trying to, and I'm passionate about this, and I apologize, and I get nervous speaking in public, but my point is the people that we've talked to and the people that we came to the meetings and it came on a repeated basis, we're saying, let's do the courthouse. We know we need one, and they're willing to go the tax, but they're not willing to pay millions of dollars to go buy more land to do it. And there was already enough, I guess, bad blood or shadiness around the fact that this property was bought by a bank for $10,000, in foreclosure. Then you had Caldwell Banker. Then it was Charter Bank, Caldwell Banker, and then you had DeMaria injected into this deal. So there's a lot of questions in the public about the dealings. And so to get our governance away from all that and the spending of, like I said, $2.5 million, let's go ahead, get rid of this property, put the properties on the ballot that we already own and that's being donated, and then let the voters decide. That's all I'm asking, because we've already lost the jail site. Y'all took the jail site off. You're saying we shouldn't take any off? Well, you did. You took the jail site off.
No, Sam, the jail site was never on. That was under consideration, as were several sites over in East Milton.
And I was, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. And then we voted. And when we voted to put the Byram property as the East Milton selection.
You asked HOK to do a rendition, and in that, when it was asked, we were told that there would be a cost analysis of the jail site. We never got that. It was killed before we ever got a cost analysis of it.
We asked them to do an analysis, a feasibility analysis for 5 different sites out in East Milton.
Yeah. But you never gave that of the jail site. That's what I'm talking about. When the jail site first came about, y'all chose a piece of property way down by the river, and it was me and my group that came and said, hey, look, y'all can put this behind. And HOK came and said, guess what? Yeah, we can. And then the sheriff says, well, we'll have to move the gun range. And the engineer from HOK said, no, we don't. Every time that we've come to, it's almost like y'all are doing everything you can to make sure that it goes in pace. And you're getting a lot of blowback from the public that says they do not like the idea of the P Ridge Pace site. $1.2 million purchase plus another, like I said, $1.47 million purchase plus another $1 million. Like I said, you're looking right at $2.5 million. That's $2.5 million that can go into the construction of the building. And when you do put it out there, you're going to have that reoccurring cost of the transportation that could go back to salaries for the deputies or additional patrol cars, which the sheriff said he sorely needs. So I'm just saying, please be good stewards of our money. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner.
Just a comment, Sam, every piece of property in the industrial park is industrial. That's why we call it the industrial park. Yeah, it's in the industrial park. I don't know, you had your turn. I'm going to say this to you, Sam.
Sam, you know the rules. He's got the floor right now.
I'm going to say this, Sam, and I've heard it many times, and there was a group out at Whiting yesterday morning who told me that Sam Mullins and his group does not represent them. So when you stand up here and tell us what you and your group want, that's just one little group. There are a lot of people in this county who will tell you that you don't represent them. That's why you need to leave it on the ballot and let them vote. And you quit trying to dictate to the other people that you don't represent what they need. So you don't represent everybody, Sam. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Mr. Young.
Obviously, this is a passionate subject, and that's okay. The first statement I want to make is I talk to some people, and I get, when the courthouse subject comes up, I hear views on all, quote, on where we stand today with all 3 sites. I find, for the same reasons Sam is passionate about his position, I find people that are very passionate about the P Ridge position. Why they don't show up at meetings and attempt public speaking is because they, for whatever reason or not, they choose not to because they understand they're going to be able to make their voices known at the ballot. To quickly recap, to make sure I'm not missing something, is there was a process set up to begin with. Some demographic studies internally by staff, whatever. A central location of crisscross, which became Avalon Beach and Highway 90, and a circumference around that area as the interested area. Accepting RFPs were sent out and and anybody could submit a site. But everybody knew at that time that geographical location was the area of interest based on the studies that were done. Also, early on in the process, before that process ended, and during that process, there was a commitment by this board, which I thought was outstanding, that obviously the commitment was going to be the location would be defined on the ballot, the cost of the project would be defined on the ballot, and the funding mechanism would be defined on the ballot, and you would vote. That process was set up to yield one site. There was input from other members of the community that said, in the county, that says, you know, we don't know that we like that process. We would like for the board to consider adding this to the ballot, maintaining, let's say, the downtown site. And then there, Sam and his position and his supporters and their positions were talking about county-owned land and/or free land, and of course, county-owned land being in East Milton. So the board started adding to the original concept of one site and said, let's just put it on the ballot, let's give a selection to the county, the voters, and let them tell us where to put it. So when there's comments made that you guys want to spend $1.4 million to buy land, whatever your personal preference is doesn't matter. You're not going to make that decision. The voters are going to make that decision. And whether anybody wants to believe it or not, and we all have a tendency to speak of people that are same-minded. You know, we don't have a tendency to jump off into controversial groups. I'm not one of those. I'll dive off in any conversation because I'm crazy. But my point being is, I can, you know, for whatever my 2 cents is worth, there's a great amount of support that I find for the Pea Ridge site. The satisfaction is we don't have to get up. Those people tell me, I'm going to get to do it on the ballot. You know, I don't need to, you know, they keep abreast of what's going on through the website, through the newspaper articles, you know, and they just feel like they're going to have their opportunity. Nobody's trying to, the job is not to sell the county commission on the sites. You went through the process to try to get from a one-site processes to adding 2 more sites. I know that may add confusion because anytime you're voting on anything more than one issue, it can get confusing. You may get some varied results. But to change that process today by the elimination of the original site that was put on it, that people are waiting for that ballot language to come out so they can educate themselves on it and vote on it, that would be just wrong. That's backing up on what you said you was going to do, in my book. You know, do you have to get another 200 people to show up with banners and plaques and say, you told us that was going to be on the ballot, now you voted Monday to take it off the ballot? That's not right. You know, the process started with that site. There's been 2 other additional sites that ends up trying to satisfy the county, all the voters, on what their particular position is, whether it's don't purchase new land, whether it's first cost conscious, whether it's how do you build a free courthouse, because there's a way to do it, and I won't get into that. But there's a lot of conversation going on out there, and they expect to see these 3 sites on the ballot and the referendum for the LOST, and that's the expectations of the people that I talk to. And they understand November 4th is a date. They understand the ballot language has got to be put together. The commitment of the board to put the cost on there is running way behind, you know? And that's my perception of the people that I talk to that are for the Pea Ridge site or against the Pea Ridge site. Their expectations are to see those 3 items on the ballot. You know, when East Milton came into play as a location based on the concept of free land or reduction cost of land, then you guys took that on, went to the south end, had a meeting about let's select an East Milton site because we've been asked to do so. Then you took the abilities that you had, discussed it, fully discussed the sites that were out there. There was a motion made for the Byron site. It was seconded, and it was voted as the East Milton location to be on the ballot. Pretty black and white to me. But if you were going to take an action, trying to take action today to eliminate that list from 3 to 2, without putting something on an agenda and notice that that's what you're considering doing. So if you want feedback, you can get it, whether it's by emails or whatever. You know, something's just not fair about that. If you got one group that supports a location that has expectations to voice their support on November the 4th, and they find out on the 21st, on the 22nd of July in the newspaper that site's been eliminated because you can, your credibility is going to go right down the tube. And that's my position. Thank you.
Wallace Mahout, 5500 Cox Road, Milton, Florida. As far as speaking about people who represents who and who speaks for who, when this first started, 4 members of this board, Mr. Salter, Mr. Melvin, Mr. Cole, and Mr. Lynchard, were focusing on an area within 2 miles of Avalon and Highway 90. I contend that at that point, the board was representing the board. This started with absolutely no public input whatsoever. No town hall meetings. When Gerald was elected, within 2 weeks, he had a town hall meeting asking people for an opinion. Anybody else do that? No. You say, well, these meetings are open to people. 9 o'clock in the morning, people are working. I think maybe you held 1 or 2 evening meetings. And you had a packed house, so you knew there was public interest. So please don't accuse Sam of trying to represent everybody in the county, because you took that away when you decided on your own that Avalon and Highway 90 would be the area to select to build a new courthouse. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to add? Mr. Fortune.
Got to work. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Ed Fortune, 4971 Chumuckla Highway, Pace. I've already made my statement to the board as to what, and I only represent myself now. I don't represent all of Santa Rosa County. Those years are gone. But anyway, my opinion today is we're getting ourselves, again, I'm repeating myself, we've followed the same path that we have in the past. And I want, my preference is that we pass this time, we come to a conclusion and we go ahead and build the Judicial Center because it is needed in Santa Rosa County. It's been needed. And I'm concerned about the revenue. I believe strongly in representative government. That's what we elected our representatives for, to make those decisions. I don't mind. I like for the people to express their opinion and to vote. But they can't vote on everything. So we need to move. If it takes burning midnight oil, we need to do that and get this done, because we're pushing the clock, the time, trying to get the correct language on the ballot for the revenue. That's the number one issue. Now, I don't want to bog things down to where we cannot get that in time to get that on the ballot, so we will know we've got the money to do what we need to do. So if it takes burn midnight oil, I would recommend that we start on that immediately, because it's got to be done. And I believe, as you know, I supported the local area, or the local facility here, the area that we have. I think that would be best for the county. The main thing I like about it is what the city of Milton come forth and offered to assist and be a party to that and contribute funds that they would be using elsewhere for the construction of the Judiciary Center. And I also believe it would be good if we had the other major municipality in the county, Gulf Breeze, also, because this is going to happen down there too. We've got as Representative Lynchwood has indicated, the traffic, and Navarre High School today is now the largest high school in Santa Rosa County. That's the kind of growth we have, and we need the municipalities working with you to develop a plan for the future, because that's the part I enjoy, is planning for the future. That's all I'm comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question, a motion, and a second. Before we do, I'd just like to say that there's 3 good pieces of real estate under consideration. My objection to the P Ridge is well known. I've been vocal about it. I don't like taking the first price on that or anything else, and I think the price is unfairly high. The Milton, there was questions, widely perceived that the soil wouldn't support an elevated building, and it turns out that's not so. You just have to have the pilings designed correctly, and you can do it. The Byram property is free, and it's also an excellent site. So all 3 of the pieces of property would do as far as the real estate goes. My problem is still with the first price deal on the Highway 90 and Pace property. My opinion is that, and it's my personal opinion, that a cluttered ballot with 3 issues might not pass. Certainly, if the public looks at the bottom line, it's not going to be the most affordable of the options. So I offered that as in hopes of maybe streamlining ballot and proceeding. But I'd like to call the question. We have a motion and a second, so it's time to vote. Those in favor of removing the P Ridge site from the ballot, please do so by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Let the record show that the yeas were Melvin and Williamson, the nays Salter, Commissioner Cole, and Commissioner Lynchard. All right, that concludes that item. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Let's be back in here about 2 minutes till 11, please. Please make your way back to your seats. Right. All right. Let's come to order. Find your seats, please. Next item on the Administrative Committee is item number 2. Recommend scheduling public hearing on the proposed ordinance regarding local government infrastructure sales tax, infrastructure sales surtax on construction of a judicial facility. This is something that the attorney needs us to do so we can.
It is, and I would expect she's not here to speak to the timing of it, but I would expect that would be at your first meeting in August, since there's a 3-week time.
There she is.
You know what the timing would be.
First round of meetings in August.
Okay, so this is for the first meeting in August. All right, I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 3 is discussion of a proposal from Hernandez Calhoun Design International for design services, construction, and permanent restrooms at Navarre. They're not ready with anything, but volunteer groups in the community have been working this issue. One group started and another group started with a competing set, and we thought it would be wiser to let the county handle it rather than risk starting a civil war. But we have some plans to consider now that probably going to be top quality stuff. So without any further ado, we will move into this presentation from, I think, Mr. Dabney.
Mr. Chairman, I have the...
put this together for us.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, just a moment. He's a wizard.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, a few months ago, I was approached by Navarre Voices for Progress and Sandra Horton about the need for these restrooms down there, and I wasn't aware of any other action that had been being taken at the time. Soon after that, I talked to Mr. Dabney about this, and yesterday evening, we were able to get a set of plans that would save District 4 Recreation Fund and the citizens of Santa Rosa County quite a few dollars. I have those plans from Mr. Dabney ready to turn into a building inspection department. Also, we were able to obtain 3 letters of committal. One, Gulf Breeze Plumbing will provide labor needed to plumb the public restrooms of Navarre free of charge for their labor. Be it advised that AD Electrical Group, LLC, intends to provide our services with the above referenced project. It is a chance for us to give back to the community and a much-needed project. And then finally, we have another letter of commitment from A.K. Moyer, LLC, as overseeing the construction of the Navarre Welcome Center public restrooms. A.K. Moyer has agreed to provide this service at no labor cost to the county. He is a licensed general contractor. His compensation, the county will not pay A.K. Moyer for his services, for he has agreed to provide them free of charge based on the needs of this project and a way to give back to the community where he lives and builds homes and businesses. We have with us today James Dabney, and also Sandra's here, I believe. Sandra Horton's here. And I'm just very thankful for citizens that are willing to step up to the plate like this.
It's outstanding.
I'm Ira Mae Bruce. I'm here basically just to say thank you to these 2 people. Sandra had started a committee to try to build things in Navarre that we need, and this was our first project, and all of a sudden here comes James. He's already gotten the project planned. In the meantime, I had talked to Hunter Walker, and that's the reason it went on the agenda the way it is. It was I'm just overwhelmed with the number of people that have stepped up and said, we want this project and we want it done right. So the plans that you have are the plans that James has had an architect do, and he's, and the people that have offered their services for free. So right now, I guess that I would like to have James talk and with our chairman talk, but I guess we need probably a motion to move ahead with the county's supervision.
What we'll do is just what we said we would do Monday. This outstanding work, James, don't ever mention something to James if you're not serious about making it happen, because it'll happen. We'll get the county to look at it, and as I said Monday, we'll either get the community to do it or we'll do it ourselves, but District 4 funds are available, so if this pans out, we will supply the material to save the sales tax, and with a gracious donation of the time of the community. So you have all of the trades now, or are you missing a trade?
We're still looking to get the AC mechanical, but
Okay.
there's several AC down.
Well, if somebody can step up and fill that gap, that will be wonderful, and if they don't step up and fill that gap, it's not going to stop us.
Right, and we've got
We'll
concrete
move ahead.
company.
Yeah, we'll move ahead with what we have to bid out, we will, and what you have put together with your group, we'll press with that. This is just outstanding. I'd like to run these through the normal review process, and you guys were the first one to the table. You have put this project probably 6 to 8 months, maybe a year ahead of schedule. Deeply appreciate your efforts, and I know that you were the one bearing the imposition because of your business proximity to the park, and we were flooding your bathrooms, and we appreciate your help. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm.
Okay, all right.
It's all set up right now, and like I said, I didn't get started back on this project till Monday, so everything kind of took place from Monday from this, with the help of Lori Gallup. She had the initial conceptual drawings. We took her drawings and we put it on paper, and were able to put it all together. So there was more than just myself. I know Ira May, Cindy Stevens, several others in the community, the chamber, they've all gotten involved now. And I wasn't made aware of it until she called me on the phone about the issue, and then I was at an economic development meeting is where I really started to get involved with it. So we have pretty much 3 trades consultants going to be doing the site work, and I can get letters of engagement from everybody.
We need to do those things. From the legal standpoint, we're going to need the letters, the insurance, and all that, but the staff will help you with that. You've done a tremendous job with this, and we deeply appreciate it. The communities and everyone.
Well, I believe we can make this, if with the approval from the commission, I think we can make this happen, and I believe be done, maybe opening before the Christmas thing, if you guys can get this approved.
Okay.
I mean, you got a set of, they're not engineered stamp plans as of right now, because I wanted to leave that open.
Yeah.
So if the commission, any of the engineers wanted to make changes to that before we take those to the engineer, I want to make sure that you guys looked at it, said, yep. I mean, nobody looks at a project the same way. Obviously, we've had that
That's
discussion.
excellent. There's one point that we may want to consider. This is almost August. That's probably, I don't know, we need to kick around the wisdom of an immediate start versus a September, November start when the park activities begin to slow down a little. I don't know how disruptive it would be to construction to have people and little people around the construction equipment. But we can work our way through that.
Yeah, as far as equipment and stuff, you cordon that stuff off, and you can fence it off. I mean, there's, you're going to build something no matter where you build it, in a park, in a business. It doesn't, it's all safety issues, obviously, but I don't think, putting it off for another 2 months when we've already been struggling for 2 years is an acceptable answer. I think we should get the funds allocated, get it started, get the engineers on it.
Well, I saw you had a takeoff. I don't know if you've got a good estimate of what the material's going to be, but now, Ms. Jones, in this situation, are we going to be okay to purchase the materials for this project through the vendors that James has been able to put together for us, or how's that work?
We can certainly do direct purchase of the materials.
Okay.
That shouldn't present a problem.
I was concerned
I
that
don't know
we...
if there's a general contractor on board.
Yeah.
We probably need to explore that aspect a bit further.
The AK Moyer is a licensed state general contractor.
And his time is donated, so I think all that we would need and he wanted, I think we probably need to pay his payroll. Isn't that probably part of what the deal was with him? He doesn't want his payroll either?
No cost.
Okay, that's outstanding then.
So, and we'll work on the different, like tile layers and stuff like that, sheet rockers, however.
Yeah.
What we're needing from you guys is the guidance on what you are requiring for finished product.
Okay,
You know,
so
we designed the outside roof
Yep.
to match the chamber. The outside hardy board siding is to match the chamber. So everything is what's there already. So
Okay. We will move these through planning and zoning, and I'll make a motion right now that we got too many mics on. I see two other lights. I'll yield the floor in just a minute.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this proposal for consideration. I can't imagine it having a shortfall, and that we run the plans through the county planning and zoning, and if they, they'll probably have to be tweaked, but and we'll need a dollar figure for the
I can get you, if
for the
you give me a few
materials.
more days or at least another week, I can get you.
Okay, because we'll have to specify, we'll have to reserve the dollars, so we'll need, to know what to move to one side.
Well, what we want to do is make sure that way there's no, we want this to be a community project.
Absolutely.
The whole game plan behind it is to make it a community project where we can get different trades to come in, help us all. We'll, obviously, Tony Moyer will make sure that all the trades that do come in will be licensed trades with their insurance, all their stuff. We'll obviously have to follow the guidelines, and I'm sure, I think Mr. Blaylock knows Tony Moyer. Yeah, I know he's up at the county on a regular basis, so he's very well known up there. I know if I ever needed something, I always called him. So he's obviously knows a few people up there, but what we're wanting it to do is to be a community project. You've had a lot of people that's gone out on their own to
Yep.
do the work, and now we want the community to come together and say, hey, we helped build that.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. This is outstanding. It's deeply appreciated. Your generosity is overwhelming. Commissioner Lynchard, you had the light first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to suggest that we direct staff to go ahead and cost everything out and prepare specifications for the fixtures. A lot of times, we've wrestled with this at Tiger Point Park with some additional restroom facilities. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. They had an estimate to refurbish existing restrooms down there that was $100,000 because of the cost of the equipment that goes in there, the commercial grade fixtures and everything. So if Roger can or Avis can, or Tony can get some cost estimates prepared and spec out the fixtures, the siding, all of the materials that the county's going to be supplying. Maybe we can have that at our first meeting in August to go ahead and approve procurement or go out for bid if we have to go out for bid on the materials, and then we can move forward as quickly as possible.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Commissioner Lynch, James has already gotten Southern Pipe and got started rolling on that as far as the cost specs on the plumbing. And in our discussion yesterday evening, this is all hands-free, limited water, using, the best technology out there today. And I can't say anything more than I've been very impressed with this guy. He makes things happen, and I enjoyed the 2 hours we spent last night going over that. So, Mr. Chairman, with your motion, I'll be glad to turn these set of plans into our building department and these letters of commitment and specifications to our legal department.
Absolutely, and I would like you guys, James, to get one-on-one, because you're probably going to need, they'll tell you what else we need in terms of letters of commitment, and those little dots and dashes that the bureaucracy requires. So thank you again very much. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I just want to ask, so that means that the first meeting in August, we'll do a status report on where this is all standing at?
Yes, the first meeting in August is the committee meeting where we beat it around one more time, and then we'll pass it that Thursday. So that would by that time, we'll be talking about how many dollars we're going to set aside from the district for recreation funds toward this project.
The one other issue that James and I talked about, but I don't think we're in the plans because we just talked about it, is one of the big problems we've had at the park is security.
Yeah.
I had been doing a little bit of study on it and mentioned it to James the other day that some of the security companies will provide locks that automatically lock at a certain time. They have a buzzer on them that give you so long to get out of the restroom, and then they lock. We've never been able to come up with a really good way to get a human being to go lock the restrooms every night and unlock them. And if this would work, it might be something we would like to add to the plans and may have to pay for.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
We're looking into that very thing at Tiger Point. Again, some system that would automatically lock the doors at a certain time, but then it would have a panic bar so that if anybody were inside when they lock, they can get out. Free
Right.
access out, free exit, but no entry after a certain time.
Yeah.
And then would unlock again in the morning. So we're looking into
I
that.
think we need
technology.
that probably in all of our parks, but that's been our problem with the restrooms that we built in front of the tourist center were, they were supposed to be the replacement for the restrooms that had been in the park. And they didn't work because people were going in at night. And so I'm hoping that we can get those locked too and give us a more, a way to lock those so that we do have, for larger groups, that we do have more than one way for people to get in and out of the restrooms and be safe. So.
That's excellent. And also at the last TDC meeting, we discussed the alarming the building itself. The building is not alarmed, and that's inexpensive, and at this day and age, it's badly needed. So we'll make all this wrap together, and can't say thank you enough, James. This is outstanding, and we deeply appreciate you and the volunteers that made this happen.
One thing I want to make sure what the reason we're doing what we're doing as a group on the south end is, even though you'll see A&D Electric there's three owners of that. One of the owners is Troy Williams. He's been a local resident for since 1978. He moved there when I moved there. But you'll see his letterheads from Niceville. That's one of the three partners, his address. So we're using local contractors in the south end, and we're using local. If you'll go out and take any of these bids, this Southern Pipe bid here, it's 5% over cost. What I'm doing is going to the table saying, hey, we want you guys to give us this basically at cost, and we're going to do a name recognition plaque saying that these are the people that helped build this facility.
That's outstanding.
Local contractors, and we want to buy all the material local. We don't want somebody from Pensacola bringing us material.
Yep.
That's not what this project's for.
Yep.
So when the county looks at that, we want to make sure that point's clarified, because that was my point to all my contractors and my friends, that this will be a local project.
Absolutely.
Done by locals.
Mr. Chairman, if we could just get the board to direct staff, which would be probably the county engineer and public services director, to work with Mr. Dabney and his group on putting together the specs and all that you need. Getting with Mr. Moyer and kind of come back to y'all with a plan.
Okay. We were making our way toward a motion for that when we started weaving through the comments, but I move that the staff work with Mr. Dabney to fill in whatever we need in his volunteer effort to make this come to completion, and we would work toward having data the first week in August so that we can set aside funds and begin the project. And I do so without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'd also like to just mention one other person that has been involved, and that was Laurie Gallup. I think she also
absolutely
had
Laurie.
A set of plans, and although she and I don't always agree on everything, that this was one that we do. Thank you.
Lori and her sister and 2 or 3 other folks in the other group, and I appreciate you guys coalescing and making this happen. That's outstanding. All right. Item number 4 is recommend the certificate of participation for the 2014 Florida Department of Law Enforcement FDLE Burn Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, which is a state solicitation, in the amount of $48,394 and the designation of Lieutenant Butcher of the Sheriff's Office as a point of contact. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 5 is recommend task order SR 2014-3 to contract with the Tidal Basin Government Consulting, LLC, for disaster recovery administrative services associated with April flooding. We went over this Monday. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 6 is recommend the 5K Dead Pirate Run Walk on Navarre Beach Saturday, October the 25th, 2014, beginning at 6 o'clock by the crew of Caribbean. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. Item number 7 is an extensive list of meetings, and unless otherwise noted, the meetings below will be held in the boardroom of Santa Rosa County Administrative Center. They're listed there for your purview, and anybody present would like a copy, we'll provide it to you. And at home, you can look this up on the county website. I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes. That concludes the Administrative Committee. Engineers report, Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1, we're recommending the license agreement with the property owner, James Binion, for flood repairs at 976 Grand Canal Street.
All right, I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
And item number 2, we recommend the license agreement with his neighbor, property owner Baker Clark, for flood repairs at 974 Grand Canal Street.
I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 3, we recommend the resolution authorizing and supporting the inclusion of the Navarre Beach Dune Restoration Project in the fiscal year 2015-16 Florida Beaches and Coastal Systems local government funding request for the 2015 legislative session.
I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
Item number 4, we're recommending a deductive change order number 1 in the amount of $258,073.52, reducing the contract with Berkshire Johnstone, LLC, for owner direct purchases of the T-hangar buildings at Peter Prince Airport.
I recommend approval without objection. Hearing none, it passes.
And that concludes the engineer's report.
Next is Public Service Committee, Commissioner Lynchard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 items. Item number 1, recommend resolution adopting the updated Title VI plan and non-discrimination policy as required for the receipt of federal funds for Transportation Disadvantaged Program. I will move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And item 2 is recommend submission of the 2016 to 2020 Rural Transportation Priorities to the West Florida Regional Planning Council. And I move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
That concludes Public Services.
Thank you, sir. Public Works Committee, Commissioner Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 5 items today. Number 1, I'd like to recommend a 1-year extension of agreement with Altman Landscaping, LLC, for annual lawn services at current rates. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Number 2, recommend 1-year extension of agreement with Comfort Systems USA Southeast for annual mechanical/HVAC services at current rates. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Number 3, recommend acceptance of 2 deeds for 15 feet of right-of-way along the east side of Kaiser Lane. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Recommend resurfacing of the following roads in Working District 1 at an estimated cost of $208,501. Slalom Drive, Del Monte Street, Roaring Sea Lane, Jerry Street, Arlene Street, San Jose Street, Southland Boulevard, Southern Place to Rambling, Rambling Way, Cobalt Lane, Fawnwood Drive. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
And number 5, recommend paving of the following roads in Working District 1 at an estimated cost of $55,461, North 30th Avenue, Buell Lane, Pandora Drive, and Pomano Street. I'd like to move approval without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes the Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Williamson. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Cole.
Thank you. Item number 1 is recommend bid in the amount of $29,420 for the Design Home Builders Incorporated for the Housing Rehabilitation Project at 4555 Church Street in Baghdad as low bidder meeting specification. One caveat to that, it is $4,420 above the norm, and but it is a low bidder meeting specification on this. I'll move that without objection.
All right, and I believe that we cleared up that, we got approval for that. Yep, hearing none, it passes.
Thank you. Item number 2, recommend bid in the amount of $340,505 from Pneumatic Concrete and Company for the Munson Highway Big Juniper Creek Bridge Rehabilitation Project as low bidder meeting specification. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 3, recommend bid in the amount of $139,970 from Hughes and Company, LLC, for the Baghdad Mill Site T-Fishing Pier as low bidder meeting specification. Move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 4 is recommend bid in the amount of $69,200 from Joe Baker Construction Incorporated for home reconstruction project at 7228 Beverly Street as low bidder meeting specification. Do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 5, recommend budget amendment 2014-151 in the amount of $43,915, carrying forward funds for the Navarre Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Center and Marine Sanctuary in the Tourist Development Fund as approved at the July 10, 2014 meeting. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 6, recommend budget amendment 2014-152 in the amount of $35,108, carrying forward funds in the Road and Bridge Fund for the Pine Blossom Road Drainage Repair Project is approved at the July 10, 2014 meeting. Do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 7, recommend budget amendment 2014-153 in the amount of $6,500, carrying forward funds in the Road and Bridge Fund for FDOT Local Assistance Program grant in the in-house design for sidewalks along Tiger Point Boulevard is approved at the July 10th, 2014 meeting, and I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 8, recommend budget amendment 2014-154 in the amount of $119,000, carrying forward funds in the Road and Bridge Fund for the FDOT Local Assistance Program grant for design of mill and resurfacing of Berry Hill Road as approved at the July 10th, 2014 meeting, and I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 9, recommend budget amendment 2014-155 in the amount of $108,609 from the capital fund for re-roofing of the Gulf Breeze Library as approved July 10th, 2014 meeting. Do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 10, recommend budget amendment 2014-156 in the amount of $30,450, carrying forward crime prevention funds for Sheriff's Office expenditure in the fine and forfeiture fund. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 11, recommend budget amendment 2014-157 in the amount of $786, carrying forward funds for permitting and publication of legal notices in the Santa Rosa Shores Canal MSBU fund. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 12, recommend budget amendment 2014-158 in the amount of $31,840 from the capital fund for purchase of 8 EVID compact units for the supervisor of elections. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 13, recommend budget amendment 2014-159 in the amount of $48,443 for 10% local match at FDOT Section 53110 or 10 capital project for vehicle replacement in the Transportation Disadvantage Program. I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Item 14 is a county expenditure and check register, which I've signed off and moved for your purview. and I move that without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Mr. Chairman, final item we have, I've been in discussion as your budget chair with the budget director, and we will have on the next agenda discussion of looking at both styles, both pay raises for our employee, both the COLA and the merit raise for our discussion at that time. And that concludes this report.
Okay, County Administrator. County Attorney. Public forum. Anybody have anything they want to bring before the board?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Right-hand part of that button will turn the light on. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Thanks. Rob Williamson, 7018 Summit Drive in Navarre. You have a zoning matter that's coming before you tonight, 480 acres of property that has a rezoning request. And I can't see anymore now. Obviously, considering what I wore, I knew there was going to be a photo shoot today. Here's the reality, just so I can provide a recommendation, is just one of the volunteers on that board. The ultimate decision obviously rests with you this evening. 480 acre site, of which 260 acres are uplands. The owner of that property has a legal right to develop that property consistent with their zoning. Currently, R1 allows, as I'm sure you're well aware, 4 units per acre. That would put the total density somewhere over 1,000 units. This applicant came before the zoning board and made it clear that they have no interest in maximizing the density. They want to go from R1 to R1A because R1A allows for 50 feet width in lots, as opposed to R1, which the lowest lot size you can get to is 70 feet. But they also made clear during that meeting that they only wanted to have 750 to 800 total units. If they went from R1 to R1A, that's 6 units per acre. That would put it up over 1,500 units. In this case, they made it clear that they were not looking to do that. So I made a recommendation at that time and made the motion for approval. It was seconded. It went to discussion. There was no discussion from any member of the board, and we had a couple of board members vote in opposition to that, but they at no time provided any reason for why they voted against it. It isn't often that it happens that a developer comes and actually says they want less zoning. Then they could certainly develop without even coming before the zoning board or this board. They could put in 1,000 units if they wanted to. In this case, they're only looking to do 750 to 800. So, knowing that, you're going to have less of an impact. You're going to have less traffic on Highway 98. You're going to have less of an impact on the schools. You're going to have less of an environmental impact. Obviously, with the stormwater drainage issues that are very much in the forefront of our mind, you're going to have less stormwater drainage issues. I don't know why anybody would not be in favor of this, but you'd have to ask those other zoning board members why they voted in opposition to it. This property will obviously require an environmental study before it's finalized. You're going to have a traffic study that'll go along with it. And the school district already provided their report to us saying that even if this property was maximized, they could handle the additional students that would be attending those schools that would be affected. My recommendation to this board is simple, just to make sure that we don't have any surprises. Allow the R1A zoning, but cap it at 800 units. Then you don't have to worry about them maximizing it. They can use the smaller lot sizes if they wish, but it's a win. Instead of them sticking with R1 zoning and putting in 1,000 units if they wanted to, let them go to R1A, but just limit it to 800 maximum units. That'd be 200 less units than they could do without even coming before this board. So as a volunteer, and only a volunteer, I just wanted to bring that to you as a suggestion before you go to tonight's meeting as a possible solution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything else to come before the board?
My name is Ed Gilbert. I live at 5975 North Airport Road. I assure you I will not say anything about the courthouse. I'm here on behalf of the neighbors that live around Peter Prince Airport, and we are very concerned with the noise. It is getting terrible in the last year and so. If you're not familiar, I know you don't live out that way. You've got a commercial flight operation out there now that's flying 3 aircraft all day long, starting at 6:30 in the morning till dark. Those 3 airplanes circle that airport and only use half of the airspace out there, which means they're over our house almost every 2 or 3 minutes of the day. In addition, you've got the Navy that is sending helicopters out there at night, and they're flying till almost 11 o'clock at night. In addition, I see where you're trying to expand the airport, add helicopter pads and additional buildings out there. I'm telling you, the noise has gotten tremendous. We can't sit outside and talk to a neighbor without the noise. You can't talk on your telephone in the house without waiting until a plane or a helicopter clears your house. I know the problems out there, and I've talked to Mr. Blaylock on one occasion. Somehow or another, if you're going to expand the airport, you need to acquire some additional airspace to stay away from the populated area. I know the county has spent a lot of time and money trying to mitigate encroachment on Whiting Field. But I'm here to tell you, those helicopters don't fly around Whiting Field. They come over the populated areas, and when they're flying over there till 11 o'clock at night, it's very disturbing. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. We're all asking for some kind of help in abating the noise around that airport.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your input. Would you turn the mic off, please, sir?
Mr. Chairman.
Just a minute. We've got one more to go.
Andrew McDermott, 8093 Sleepy Bay Boulevard. On Monday, I was up here asking for an ordinance for the beach. I was trying to get something fair and equitable to everybody, not one certain person, and that's why I didn't call out names, although I did give circumstances that concern me. Mr. Cole, you called my father yesterday afternoon. I can't believe you would call my daddy on me. Yes, sir. That's what I was told. The information I received was that you had called him.
No, ma'am.
And it surprised me because I've said nice things about you in the past.
Andrea, I don't even know your father.
Well,
I wouldn't know how to get in touch with your father.
that's the information I received from my father yesterday evening, and it concerns me.
I'd be glad to speak to him. I don't know your father, nor do I know how to get in touch with him.
I'm going to see him face to face today, and I'll make sure to clear up anything that may have come up.
Sure.
But I'd just like to say that if you have anything to say to me, you don't got to call my 81-year-old father. I'm going to give you my business cards, got my cell phone number on there. I'm never in the office. Don't call the office. Call my cell phone. If I don't answer, I will call you back. And I don't have any problem with meeting anyone. Mr. Melvin, Mr. Cope asked me to tell you he would be here till Friday if you wanted to meet with him. I was asked to give you that message this morning.
Mr. Cope.
From Beachview.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
From Beachview, I believe you've had email correspondence with him.
Yes.
And he said that he would just want to let you know that he was here till Friday. But I just want to make sure y'all have my phone number.
I'll get with you after the meeting to get his contact, so.
Okay, I can get that to you. If y'all have any problems with me, have anything to say to me, please give me a call. I'll be happy to talk with you, be happy to meet with you anytime.
Anybody else have anything to say before we adjourn? We are adjourned.